Hey everyone, it's December, so we hit the last month of the year. We got 6 new games, but 2 of them are repeats, and we'll go over them after this intro. So, first up, I reviewed this game back in February 2020, but it's called Desert Child, which came out in 2018, got a Metacritic score of 58. You're looking at about 3 hours of gameplay for a $12 game. And this is a racing RPG. First off, the graphics is what always stood out from me. This game, just walking around and the whole retro feel was amazing to me. There was some caveats with this since you kind of walked on a 2D plane at all times and in this 3D world. So sometimes you couldn't tell like where exit was. You thought you could walk as further as you could, but it would stop. And there would be awkward camera angles. There would be one scene you just see your character's feet, which I always found weird. But the core gameplay here is a racing 2D side scroller. You usually race someone else and kind of shoot obstacles out the way and try to get first, and you get upgrades to your vehicle. Got very repetitive fast. The big comment I did have was the hacking race was fun for the references. You had little Windows symbols of the old, like Windows 98 floating around. So I enjoyed that a lot, but I would still say not a download. The pro here is the whole feel of the retroness. That was kind of cool for this game. The con here is the gameplay just gets stale. I'll probably ruin this name again for the second time, but it's Spinch, which I reviewed in February, same month, but different year of 2021. This game was made in 2020, got a Metacritic score of 69. Nice. 6 hours of gameplay for about $15 game. And this is a psychedelic platformer. The assets and the objects they designed in this game are very interesting. Again, the psychedelic comes in. Controls were really smooth. You didn't have no problems there. Story wasn't there. It was made to be like a retro platformer, and it was like that on the story. You just got something very basic, and you continue on with the platforming. The negative here of the whole game to me was the colors. At first, it was kind of cool, and you're seeing some of that now. But after a while, there were stages that flashed a lot of lights. The whole landscape was very colorful and lots of moving colors, which made this a not for me. The pro here is the weirdness of the game. It was unique. I give it that. Took a platformer and made it psychedelic. The con here is your eyes are going to be hurting, so expect a lot of breaks. So to the new games that they released, I should put quotation marks around that. We got Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, a Metacritic score of 90. So this was a very high one that I'm not used to seeing in these Prime Gaming ones. Came out in 2013. About $15 for a 3-hour gameplay. And this is a single player co-op game. Yes, very confusing. So you're two brothers. Your left joystick controls one. The right joystick controls the other. And the triggers on a controller is to interact. So basically, your father is ill, and you're in search of a tree to heal him. I know online it says you're looking for like this water source, but in the game, you don't really get English, so you just see a picture of a tree. So I was going with that. Very fun puzzles. It did leverage having to control both of the brothers, setting them one up for the other one to do something else, and I liked that whole flow, and it was really smooth. The world looked amazing for almost a 10-year-old game now. I thought it looked impressive. I was enjoying the view. They even have park benches where you can look out and enjoy the scenery. I thought that was kind of cool. The only complaints I really had was I had 2 times the game crashed on me very early. I thought the game was broken because it crashed on me the first time. Then I got a little bit into it, and it crashed again. And I also glitched into this wall or fence and got stuck, so I had to restart the whole checkpoint. So it wasn't like a bug-free experience, but I would still say download. The quote-unquote co-op of this was really fun, and that was the big pro. I never played a single-player co-op game, so that was interesting. Con here, I did experience some tech issues, so don't be surprised if you bump into that. Next up, we have Banners of Ruin. This came out in 2021. Metacritic score is 71. And you're looking at about 7 hours gameplay for this $20 game. And this is a deck builder roguelike game. I will go off on a tangent. I love Slay the Spire. That's one of my favorite PC games and mobile game. It was on mobile too. And I enjoyed that, but that did spin off a lot of games that followed this deck builder style, which Banners of Ruin did. The goal here is you basically build a deck and continue down a path with a couple options. Usually you get 3. Sometimes they'll be blocked and you have to take one, so it's kind of cool for that. And each time you win, you get a card, but you don't want to get every card from a battle. You want to keep your deck kind of small with powerful cards. If your deck's too big, you won't get your good draws, and you could get stuck with just crappy cards in your hand each turn. Usually how these games work is you get a couple cards in your hand. Whatever you don't play goes in the discard pile, and you draw a new hand, and your deck reshuffles when you run out of cards. So you could see you'd want a small deck in order to do that. This one's unique because you have multiple party members, and there's certain cards that each member can play. So you have your generic that any character could play, and then you have like special cards that they could do. This game follows the you're dead, like any other roguelike, but for your members, if one of them dies, they are gone. You also have these lane concepts where you can move up and down the front or back sections, and attacks will leverage like going across the screen or attacking the front or all the back enemies, which was really cool. So I like these improvements that were very improved by Slay the Spire. You could see the heavily influence of it. Graphics are really nice. I enjoyed the cards' looks. I thought the graphics on screen while you're playing is really good. The negative here is I did hit very tank enemies that were just a lot of health, and some of them did do a lot of damage. So that happened and was very like a struggle. It didn't seem fair at times. So I would say this is still a download though. I enjoyed myself. Pro here is a strategy game. I recommend playing these deck builder games. They got popular over the past couple years, and they are really fun. So this is at least a good little start to it. Con here, it did get stale with the tank enemies that would appear, and you would just struggle. And Prime Gaming gave us another deck builder game, the Amazing American Circus. This came out in 2021, but this got a lower score on Metacritic of 53, about $20 and 12 hours of gameplay, excuse me. And basically you run a circus that was left to you, and you want to satisfy the audience members, and that's basically kind of like attacking the bad guys. You also get multiple members, but here there ain't many shared cards. I never seen one. They were all cards that played per the hero. A lot of new terms here because you don't attack an enemy. You're trying to like entertain them. So there's a lot of new terms you have to learn. Reshuffling was weird because you kind of took hit damage every time you had to reshuffle your deck. So I felt like you had to kind of keep a lot more cards just because you're trying to avoid the reshuffle. And you can actually get your members killed just by having to redeal each time, because that actually happened to me during this battle. Graphics were kind of weird. It looked like they were puppets, like cardboard puppets with points that have strings attached to them. So it's really weird. The animations got kind of old pretty quick. So I wasn't too big a fan of that. There was this whole traveling concept to go to city with your circus, like any normal circus would. But you also had to feed all your people in doing that, and that would give you boosts, positive and negative, depending on the food. So there was a lot of statuses, a lot of passive things you could do. You would set up basically a show where you would have to pick 3 of your members, and you could have like a pre-show and a finale. So there's a lot of setup there. I thought a lot was going on, and I would say not a download on this. The pro here is, it is a different take. You kind of get this more circus feel, and I did think they executed the feel of that very well. The con here where I didn't like it was there's just a lot of learning curve, and it's even a learning curve because you don't have like health in terms like that. So it's even difficult to enter the game at that point. Lastly, we have Door Paradox, which came out actually this year. there was no Metacritic score for this. You're looking at about 5 hours of gameplay. There was 3 worlds, and on average, they were 20 levels in there. It was a little short, so it came up to 58 levels, but the price here was $15. It's a puzzle game where the goal is to open the door. There's a bunch of objects laying around. You have to figure out the little puzzle to finally find the main door's key to open it up and go to the next level. This is also on mobile, it looks like. And I would enjoy these games on mobile. I played a couple of these. I played The Room. It reminded me of that, which I enjoyed a lot. So the graphics here were really good. I enjoyed them, and I thought the puzzles were well thought out. But since I did feel like this is more of a phone game, the controls were weird. Like, clicking around sometimes didn't give you a nice feel. Like, you try to spin the door around to look at the other side, and it would kind of stop sometimes. So it felt like it was a little clunky there. But overall, this is a download. This is a good time waster as the pro. Like, I felt like you could play a level or two, go play something else. So it's not like a game you have to invest in. There's no story. So nothing you have to relearn. Just play a couple puzzles and go on about whatever you have to do on the computer. The con here is, I mentioned, I think the mobile platform's better for this, so I would recommend that for there. So, as always, the game I would tell everyone to download if you had to choose one is Brothers. That game was pretty fun. I enjoyed that a lot. I think it had a great graphics, great gameplay. A little technical issues was the only negative. And since this is the last month of the year, the 2 games I kept on my computer the longest was Scourgebringer. That game was really fun. I enjoyed playing that. And then Horus. Horus was a game that I had free on Epic that I never gave a chance. And it was actually kind of funny. You could tell they were video game nerds making a video game. And I enjoyed that a lot. I should really stream that game. I need to get further into it. I enjoyed it a lot. I like the callbacks to everything. So Horus would be the big one. If you got that this year, I think that was one of the better games to me. And anyways, see you next year. I hope you enjoyed this series, and peace.